There's been a lot of unexpected stuff in the gaming industry that has happened in 2015. So these are the top 10 surprises in gaming of 2015. Number 10.
Was once a powerful union lies fractured throughout the lands.
Alright, who put the stick of truth in the toilet? That is not funny. This is a holy relic.
The South Park Stick of Truth sequel. This was really unexpected to get a sequel, as South Park is not really something that takes place in the gaming industry with only the one game. Yet it was a great game and really represented the TV show, and really I think everyone who played it was wanting a sequel because it was fun to play and extremely hilarious and captured the show well. But what made this really surprising was when Trey Parker said that they wouldn't make another game, and the fact that they have made another one and it come out as the first thing in the Ubisoft press conference in E3 2015 was great. I think the fans of the show and the fans of the game will be very happy that a sequel is happening, as really the show was like playing a really long episode of the game. It was hilarious, it was shocking, it was kind of outrageous, and really I think everyone is looking forward to playing this next one. And also it's great that the next one is happening with the makers of the show as well, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, as it's always better when it's in the hands of the creator because they can always get the best content surrounding the show and make it more like the show than what someone else would have. And the fact that they've actually gone back on what they said before, saying that they wouldn't make another game and actually gone on to make it, is great for fans and great for us all to look forward to in the coming year.
Now available for pre-order.
Yeah, everyone pre-order. That's a good idea. Shut up, Butters!
Number 9. Okay, so when Pete Hines come out of the Game Awards 2015, not even a month ago, and said that ESO are going to be having a competition to win $1 million, and all you've got to do is fill out the form and play the game between then and January the 10th, which you can still take part in right now, by the way, was very much a surprise to come out because no one had really heard anything of the Elder Scrolls Online for quite some time. Didn't really have anything since its console launch before E3. And we thought that the game overall had a decent player base, nothing to really combat that of World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV, but it had a decent size, being able to keep the game going, but obviously had not lived up to the expectations that most people had for the game. The game was disappointing, and this really seems as its one last push to try and drive a player base, as it had, the original launch, then it went Tamriel Unlimited, where it became buy to play or free to play if you already own the game. And then it also had this ESO 1 million competition where P. Hines really made Bethesda look desperate by saying, yeah, we're going to pay you £1 million to give our game a go, and you can win it if you take part, whereas really what they're hoping for is people to go in, new players, see if they can win the 1 million, obviously go for that, and then if they like the game, they'll stick around. That's kind of what they were hoping for. Will that be succeeded? We'll have to find out in the figures that will probably be published in the next couple of quarters, but it wasn't something really to make me kind of really run back and go, yeah, let's give this game another try. It was something for me to log on, try and win the $1 million. Obviously I'm going to give it a go, and then, never probably ever play it again. But it's a shame how this game turned out, and it's a shame that Bethesda are trying really to pull out these desperate assets to keep it going, because MMOs cost a lot to run. They've had a lot of staff cuts, especially after they've gone free to play. But we think that the game is making a fair bit of money, as they sold a hell of a lot of console launch copies, and I think if this doesn't work and maybe a couple more tactics down the line, it could lead to the game maybe getting completely pulled out in a few years' time if they're spending so much money in it and it's not making enough revenue. Number 8.
It's happened again. Someone's pulled the rug out from under you. An empire at your feet, and you've lost it all. Be honest, did you really deserve any of it? More important, what would you do to get it back?
The female protagonist in Dishonored. Okay, so Dishonored was announced at the Bethesda E3 press conference in 2015, and Dishonored, the first game, was really gone down well, and people were wanting a sequel, and the game had a set male protagonist, and, you know, it was basically a fairly linear story where you can, you know, kind of go your own way about it, but it was always a male protagonist, and you was that hero in first person. But to have a female character to play as is something that really kind of knocked people by surprise. I didn't really get that to be expected. But also, the stories of the two are very different. You know, it's kind of two very different playthroughs if you're going to play both of them. And to be honest, I think the female protagonist sounds quite shocking. For a game that came out with an original male protagonist and kind of went down that route, it's quite shocking to have something of that of a change. No one really expected it. And people kind of did expect the game to be announced at Bethesda's press conference, but this was a fair bit of new news to get out, where it really looked like they was going to come out and go, yeah, this game's in development, keep an eye out for it, but they gave this news and it was a surprise, and it was a good thing to go on to E3 Bethesda press conference.
Nothing is an accident. Everything is in motion. All of it has led you to this exact second in time.
Number 7.
This brutal killing took place while the family was gathered at home on a Sunday afternoon.
The Silent Hills cancellation. Okay, people were very, very, very hyped for Silent Hills after the PT game that they had, where Guillermo del Toro and Hideo Kojima were going to team up and make this horror-style game with, you know, the money of Konami backing them, and it was very exciting after PT went down very, very well. The ending was, for, you know, a very cryptic thing, and took a while for the internet to get a grip of what it meant, and it opened up a trailer for Silent Hills, and people were very excited for Silent Hills. But after the whole Konami Kojima thing went on, you know, the whole thing got completely cancelled, and it added on to the Fuck Konami campaign, which a lot of people have really been advocating after everything that's gone on with Konami and Kojima this year. Guillermo del Toro, he was asked, why did the game get, you know, cancelled, and he was like, I don't have a clue what happened there. There was plans for a game, and it was very exciting for a film director with the strange style that he has and the craziness of Kojima and that he puts into his games. It was very exciting, you know, possibility of what you could get here, and especially horror fans were really, really excited for the game, and it was a shock that the game was cancelled, as it was kind of seen as a, you know, an instant money win for Konami. But, you know, whatever went on in Konami with Kojima, we will never ever know. We can hope that something with Kojima and Del Toro can happen with Kojima Productions over at Sony, which could be hopeful. We could be hopeful about. Number 6.
General, we've located the base where they're holding the hostages, sir.
Excellent. Mobilize the ground troops we have on standby.
Sir, the base is on an island, 30 miles offshore.
Then you better get the Admiral on the phone.
The surrounding waters are heavily mined for miles, sir.
Then send in the Air Force.
Sir.
Okay, Psychonauts 2. This was Tim Schafer's crowdfunding project once again after he's had a number of them, Broken Age being one of them. And the reason why is because this guy cannot really be trusted with money. But Psychonauts 2 was announced at the Game Awards, just a little below a month ago. And the first one in the series was really good. You know, the first Psychonauts game was really good and people were hoping for a sequel. And it come out that a couple of years ago, Mojang offered $14 million to Tim Schafer to make Psychonauts 2, and he turned it down, and now they're going out asking for, I believe it was $3.3 million they asked for, which is a significant amount less than what Mojang offered. And the way that they're funding the game is with the FIG investors, with the Double Fine contributing quite a significant part of the budget, and an external investor all coming together to add it up. But Tim Schafer is never a man to be trusted with money, as he just overspends, and is a reason why publishers don't really come to him and give him a bunch of money to spend, because he just wastes a lot of it on voice actors or other unnecessary stuff, like a new office for Double Fine. But other than that, this was really a shock of the Game Awards, as you know, they all have these world premieres, you know, to get people to really check in, and this was one that kind of caught people by surprise. And Psychonauts is, you know, ever growing. It's the first one to sold quite a lot of copies, and it's good that it's being made for quite a few people. And I don't think it's still reached its goal. It's got a few days left, I believe, but just over a week left, and so it's probably going to reach the goal, as it only got about 100 or so thousand to go.
Mobilize the ground troops we have on standby.
Sir, the base is on an island, 30 miles offshore.
Then you better get the Admiral on the phone.
The surrounding waters are heavily mined for miles, sir.
Number 5. Okay, so before E3 2015, or before the Sony press conference, everyone believed that The Last Guardian was going to be in development hell and never come out. But Sony come out and surprised us at the press conference and announced that the game is still in development and it's still going to be coming out after it was announced, I believe, in 2009, and was originally meant to be coming out for the PlayStation 3, and now it's coming out for the PlayStation 4. And everyone was happy for it to come back as is a spiritual successor to Shadow of the Colossus, and everyone believed that Shadow of the Colossus is one of the greatest games to ever come out, and announced at the Sony conference to really be coming back was an immense surprise. And I couldn't find a person who was really expected this to happen. It was maybe slight little bits of rumours about maybe a little leak before the conference actually started, but if you ask someone before E3 that The Last Guardian is going to be coming out, they'd be saying no, it's not, it's in development hell. No one really was calling for it to be coming out, but now that it has been, people are excited again. People looking it up, the gameplay that they showed at E3 looked good, you got people excited, and yeah, it's good that, you know, people are getting what they wanted, and it's great for them. Number 4. Until Dawn. How the hell Until Dawn turned out to be as good of a game as it was? When it was announced a few years ago, it was originally announced to be a PlayStation Move toy game, and then it didn't really go down well. People wasn't really excited about it, wasn't on people's radars, and it kind of went away for a while, went away from the news for a couple of years, and then it come back, and then the game came out with really not much hype about it, but because of how good the game was, it sold a lot of copies, and the choices in the game were never really advertised to be such a big thing, but it turned out to be a great system, and it really seemed to be a David Cage game done right, and the latest choices had the biggest impacts later on in the game, and I put it as number 2 on my top 10 games of the year list, and I was really shocked by how good the game was. It wasn't on my radar at all, and it come out, really shocked me, and was a great game, and was really probably one of my favourite games I've ever played, and thank the Lord it changed from being this stupid PlayStation Move toy, PlayStation 3 horror game, and stepped into this sophisticated horror game, which had me fully into the game from the first chapter onwards. I was so into the characters, so into the tropes that they had, how funny it was, how scary it was at times, and the great side stories the game had was truly amazing.
Mike, Emily, this is really getting out of hand, okay? It was all very funny, haha. Look at Sam walking around in a towel, but now I just really want this to be over, all right? You had enough?
Number 3.
Last year, the team decided to tackle a feature that has been consistently at the top of your request list. And while we weren't sure it was possible, today I'm pleased to announce Xbox One backward compatibility. Your Xbox 360 games.
The Xbox One's backwards compatibility. Okay, it was a shock that this was announced way after the console came out. It was something that Phil Spencer went on stage and announced midway through the conference. And if this was something that was announced prior to the consoles coming out, this would have been a big selling point for the Xbox One. But is it too late? As the majority of people that were going to buy a console, I believe, have already bought one. And I don't believe there's a huge market there now for, you know, making a huge amount of money on consoles that are already out. As I believe that people are going to be have got the consoles now that they want, waiting for maybe the next generation to come out with the console. And this was still a shock. This still got people excited, you know, to think, right, okay, this is, you know, a time to buy an Xbox One as I can play this huge catalogue of games I've already got for the Xbox 360. But I still believe that it's too late in the console war, but it was still a shock, and it kind of came out of nowhere. I didn't really expect them to have the sheer amount of games that they had, and say that if any game company, you know, wants to make it possible, then it's possible. I can't think of why a game company wouldn't want to make it possible, as you're getting more people playing your games. And, you know, it's a great system that they've got, and it's really good for, you know, Xbox One players, the current owners of them. This was really a reward for them to be able to get, you know, the old games from the old first Xbox and the Xbox 360 on their Xbox One. Is something that I really want PlayStation to do, and not go with this streaming service that they've got. But yeah, it was a big win for the already consumers, but I don't see a huge amount of sales coming to the Xbox One because of this reason. If it was announced before the console launch, I'd say yes, definitely, but not, because it's due to the fact that it came out 2 years after the consoles came out.
No work is required on their part to make all of this possible. An initial set of backward-compatible titles are available today for Xbox Preview members. It will be available for everyone this holiday.
Number 2.
Long ago, we looked upon a foreboding sky. The memory of the star that threatened all burns eternal in our hearts. In its wake came an age of silence.
The Final Fantasy VII Remake. Okay, this was another shock from the Sony press conference and got a hell of a lot of people excited.
We looked upon a foreboding sky.
Holy F.
The memory of the star that threatened all
they did
burns
both?
eternal in our hearts.
Oh my god. What the freaking
This is
real! This is real! Is it what? Is it?
You
maniacs! No! What are you doing? Midgar looks exactly like that! What are you doing? If this isn't it... What are you doing? This is it! E3, what are you doing? E3! What are you doing? Why? Nomura! Oh god. Oh god.
But after the long calm, there are now the beginnings of a stir. The reunion at hand may bring joy.
No.
It may bring fear. But let us embrace whatever it brings.
How did they keep this secret?
For they are coming back.
Christ. Barrett! Oh my god. No.
The promise has been made.
This ain't real. It's a movie. This ain't real. A movie? No, this ain't real. It's gotta be like a movie or something. No. Go.
I've just gone through so many YouTube videos of the reactions when this was announced, as again it was completely unexpected, and I can't really think of a single person that expected this classic to be remade, as it is donned as the greatest Final Fantasy game by a lot of people, and this was the first real surprise to the conference to go like, yes, this is coming back, as they showed some like teddy bear Final Fantasy game first off, and then they come out with this and showed Remake at the end, and people were jumping out the seat, going celebrating, and this was really what won Sony the conference. Things like this to bring them back to get it remade. And I know that some of the hype has died down since E3 as they're saying what's going to be changed and what's going to be happening, but overall people are still very excited for Final Fantasy VII, and it's going to sell an absolute boatload due to the fact that how good the game actually is, and it's got me really perked up. Yes, they're going to change bits of the combat system, but the things that I'm hearing from some of the hardcore Final Fantasy fans is that, you know, is it going to have them moments that I had, like when you had to change Disc 1 to Disc 2, the darkness of the screen after the main shock of what happened at the end of Disc 1, is it going to have that, you know, that darkness and that couple of minutes of silence of waiting to kind of put the next disc in? It's something that a lot of people, you know, still got on their radar. It's something that people are going to be keeping an eye on. Hopefully we're going to hear more and more about it in the new year, and hopefully get a release date for the end of next year. But this was something that like opened people's eyes and just like, whoa, this was completely new. This has got a lot of people, maybe a lot of, you know, PC users to maybe go out and maybe buy a PlayStation 4, PS users, PS4 users of Final Fantasy fans. But I doubt that will be the case, as it be only a timed exclusive and not a full console exclusive, as it is going to be coming to PC after it's been to PS4 first. And yeah, this is a big win for Final Fantasy fans, and they get to play a completely updated game. Number 1.
出張に行ってもどこ行っても、3はどうなった、3はどうなった、いつ3出るんだとか可能性を
Okay, the third thing from the Sony press conference, well, technically the fourth thing from the Sony press conference to make the list, and it is the Shenmue 3 announcement. When the music hit, people realised what this game was. They saw Yu Suzuki come out on stage, really with hat in hand was a big shock. And this game is going to be Kickstarter funded. And they asked for 3 million, it soared past it, Kickstarter record. It got 2 million in the first day. And this was the ultimate surprise, as I think everyone thought that this franchise was dead and buried.
Crazy conference. 可能性を探ってきた結果、キックスターターでシェンムー3を作ることに決めました。やっとシェンムー2の続き、外伝ではなくちゃんとしたシェンムー1、2の3というストーリーを展開できることになります。Shenmue 3 will be the story you have waited for, but this Kickstarter will be real success. And you choose to make it the full-on Shenmue experience you have dreams of. Dude, every dream. The fate of Shenmue is in your hands now. How much? Get all of it! Take off my... Oh my God. How much? Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Yu Suzuki. Ben is gonna... Oh my God.
No way in hell was it going to be coming back, but it's in development. They're giving regular updates on the Kickstarter page to the people that have donated. And people who are big fans of JRPGs and big fan of the Shenmue games that come out in 98 and 2001, I believe, are going to be very excited to get this story finally complete. It's got the funding, it's in development, it's probably going to have external investors as well for the game, and God, this is going to sell an absolute boat ton. It's going to sell a huge amount of copies. It got a lot of people really excited. The Sony conference was left really giving people a satisfied feeling of this game. This is, you know, going to be we've got great stuff coming down the pipeline. And it was really the big shock of the year, the Sony press conference, of how good it actually was, and it really dominated E3 this year, and it's got, I think, me more and more excited of what's going to happen at E3 this year, coming up, as if they did that, and maybe Xbox One and other, you know, the Ubisoft conference and things like that are going to try and top it, which I hope they are, but, you know, giving up all these different surprises, and yeah, thank God that, you know, these couple of games, Final Fantasy VII, Shenmue 3, these surprises are happening.
All right, everyone, let's help Yu Suzuki get Shenmue 3 funded.
Okay, so there are my top 10 surprises of 2015. Maybe, you know, there's some on there that, you know, you could have thought of that maybe, you know, make the list. Maybe something like, you know, the whole Konami and Kojima thing, you know, maybe that being a surprise, and Kojima going over to Sony at the end of the year, that could, before the end of the year, that could have been a surprise that made your list, but I'm kind of happy with my list. I think, you know, some of the ones are obviously obvious, you know, Shenmue 3, Final Fantasy VII, the Xbox backwards compatibility, The Last Guardian, all that, but, you know, leave your list below. I really want to read your comments. I'm looking forward to reading what you've got. But I've got 2 more lists coming out after this. I have the Gaming Controversies list, and then the Most Anticipated Games of 2016 on the list, which was a really hard list to make. But, yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting them videos out. Sorry that I've took a little bit of a break over this past week, but, you know, it's been Christmas and New Year and everything, and, you know, video is not really the main priority at this time of year. Maybe, well, I doubt that even most of you will be watching videos at this time of year, so yeah, so thanks a lot for watching the video, thanks for leaving your likes and your comments, and also, if you want to check out our podcast, the GNM Podcast, that is on the pages of SoundCloud, Stitcher Radio, Podomatic.com, and iTunes. We are DagoraC. We are no longer posting it onto YouTube. The reason for that is because it doesn't get nowhere near the amount of views and listens as what we get on the other platforms. And yeah, thanks a lot for checking out the video. Please hope you subscribe, and once again, thank you. Goodbye.